And we're back.
We back.
Cool. So, cool. All right, let's do one more. All right, what were we
Yes.
talking about? Again, I don't even remember now.
We're talking about music. We're talking about not talking through the music, how music is very important not to
Yeah.
talk through it, and doing like kind of like your commentary right before and after, and the surprise of like the
Yeah.
spontaneity of it.
Yeah,
You
this is what it is.
like I was talking about being transparent,
Yeah.
because like even if I think that this is going to happen in the battle and it doesn't, it's always good, after the commentary, after the action is done, to be like, oh, I didn't know that, I was actually wrong.
Oh, yes, yes,
Yeah,
yeah.
so we're talking about that because it's authentic, right? And that's what engages audience, is the authenticity.
And it adds to the story of breaking because
Mhm.
imagine you do say logistics likes to do flips and she doesn't do any. This is you letting the audience know that this is not pre-planned. I don't
Yeah.
even know what she's gonna do. She might not even know what she's gonna do. And how many times do you interview breakers afterwards and go, a lot of them say, did you have a set plan? And they said, yeah, but I wait for the music and then I
Yeah.
change it. And some of them
Yeah.
are like, no, I go through my set no matter what. And these are the things, this is one thing I want to get on. These are the things that we don't talk about. A lot of commentators don't talk about. That actually, to be honest, I don't see it really spoken about. Like the things that we know, are they freestyling? Are they doing sets? Are they someone that like to, as Pro One put it,
We
stick and
need to
move?
talk about
You
that.
know?
We do talk about that. We need to talk about how hard it is to freestyle. We're taking up more our bandwidth and our brain calories. We're wasting. Our breath changes when we freestyle. And
Yeah,
then the other factors, like, did that person, because he's freestyling or she's freestyling, did they repeat from the earlier rounds?
yeah.
Like, versus like Wing, who's like a set master who has everything planned out. So he's able to execute, but he's not necessarily connected to the music as much as the freestyle. These are the things that we need to talk about.
And this is the, and now when we talk, and this is the important part for me, because we're talking about selling this to the public. These are the things that the public can hold on to. Because this is when, as you
Yeah.
said earlier, this is when we can have our back and forth. I want Wing to win. Why? Because he's a master of keeping it sharp and he sets them on points. And some of us, now I want the Supreme to win. Why? Because he kills the music. And I don't care if he crashes. I don't care. Not saying he crashes Supreme, but I don't care if he messes up. I just want to see someone dance because this is the conversations we have, right? This is why
Yes.
we, and so we need to translate this to the public so they can pick their heroes. They can
And they
pick who they
can.
want to be.
And they can. I mean, look at like what happened a few years ago. Remember that Pokemon Go game?
Yeah.
Like, people like their favorite characters. And
Yeah.
that's what, like, even the UFC, I like freaking Chuck Liddell over Tito Ortiz. Why?
Mhm.
Because just because he has a mohawk, man. Like, whatever. It don't matter.
You know?
The thing is to create it.
Yeah.
Is to create this, characters, and that's why people like WWE. They know
Yeah.
that the wrestling's fake.
Bro,
They know
that's
it's
the
fake.
biggest example. WWE is like create characters. And in breaking, we don't need to. It
No,
is
we already have
breaking.
it.
The character is the thing. This is the thing. I do martial arts. And here's the thing people might not understand. There's a reason why Conor McGregor blew up. Because when you do martial arts, no offense, most martial artists are very sterile. They're not these big personalities. They don't come in and they're very like flamboyant. So when you meet someone who is, you're like, I want to watch this guy. Why? Because he's entertaining. The most of them just they just fight. That's it. And to fight, you need to
Yeah.
kind of be a bit more focused. But in breaking, everyone's a character. When I'm around dancers, it's like you're in a room full of characters. And if we can give, and we have this thing in breaking, and it's like, this is why, like with the Olympics, I'm like, yo, you need to be showing people's character. Okay, great, you're showing your country, but stop all coming out wearing your country's uniform because it just takes away your character. Dress how you dress, but have like a logo, maybe I don't know, maybe different color tracksuit bottoms, but we have it. And for the commentators, our language should be to present these characters and to
Yeah.
you know.
100.
So
100. That's why it's like knowing their background, knowing what style the style, their
yeah,
preference that they have. All this stuff gives them personality. We're helping give them personality, even though it's like, yeah, a 12-year-old that watches breaking and takes lessons, and he's gonna know, right? Or she's gonna
yeah,
know. The general, again, we got like, this is a job, and I know you're a movie, you like to criticize movies because
Yeah.
this is the whole thing. The whole thing with the universe, the basically MCU or DCU is like, the concern should be, if I've never picked up a comic book or watched any of these films, can I be
Exactly.
engaged with these characters? Even though I
Yeah.
haven't watched, I know that there's 30 films over with this
Yeah.
guy. Can I come in not knowing anything and still have a good time? And
Yeah.
that's our job, right? It's not necessarily the B-boy, B-girl's job. Their job is to do what they do. It's our job to make the layman into an expert,
Mhm.
or at least give them a taste of it, so they
Yeah.
feel like they're an expert leaving the building, right? Or
Yeah.
after watching the stream. I feel
Mhm.
like I could talk to my friends about how breaking is dope, and there's this style, and they seem they're important and smart. So then their friends and colleagues go, "Oh, what's this breaking thing about?" You
Exactly.
know, like,
Yeah. What's this guy? And it's like, and it's good you brought that up because there's a comparison there. There's two things. Number one, like, why do they continue to remake every single movie and make it like you've never seen it? And most people complain, oh, why are they retelling Spider-Man's story again? But because they understand that someone has not seen it. That every couple years someone new is coming. So when they restart the franchise, they're like, we got to tell them the story again because this is for, it's not for you. You've seen it already, but you'll go see this one. It's for the new people so they feel engaged. And this is the good thing. This is a thing about commentating. When people watch breaking, again, no commentator should ever be talking about it like people should know what's going on. Because for some
yeah,
reason in breaking we do. We just assume like, well, the public should know. Or they should go find out. I'm like, no,
why?
they shouldn't. Yeah, no, and where? Do you know what I mean? So
Yeah, yeah, and where?
every time, as much as you might get, if you're bored of it, you shouldn't be commentating. If you watch UFC, they have this thing called the countdown. And before a big fight, they do like a 40-minute, 5-minute
Mm,
show on the main
yeah,
event, the pro-main, and sometimes the one before.
yeah,
And sometimes I don't watch it because sometimes it's a fight I already know the whole history of, and I watch the countdown and I'm like, I already know all of this, but I know it's not for me. I don't go, why did they show this again? It's always to introduce you. And this is one thing that we don't do in breaking that much. We're not introducing people again and again. And there's a thing No Index brought up, and I was like, oh yeah, the one thing we have in breaking is you have a whole tournament. Because
yeah,
if you watch any solo competition, someone's gonna go all the way to the final, which means you've got a top 16 to final, 4 battles to keep talking about people. And if someone goes out, then you have, if we do it your way, which I think is the best way, Daniel's way, you have the aftermath to give some info on them before they leave. You're not going to see this person again, but their footwork style was this. Maybe they lost today because they're usually a power person and they didn't hit it. Or, this is someone who has power, but they lost to that person with a bit more top rock. Maybe when you see them again. Now, if you see them again, you can be like, this is a top rock person, but in the past 2 months, they've got top rock. Top rock is this. You're going to see different. You know what I mean? So it's
yeah.
like, we have a canvas on which to paint these stories, man. Which I think is what's missing in our commentating big time, and
Yeah,
why.
I think it's a matter of, to help improve it, it's a matter of, like, having, if you're a promoter and you have enough money to live stream, is it's gonna be hard because it's like you have to do your research. And again, when you're a promoter, you're thinking about 10 million other things, right? You're thinking about the judges, you're thinking about the flights, you're thinking about the hotels,
Yeah.
you're thinking about the artists, you're thinking about, there's so many things, and you're just like, I don't care. Like, so the suggestion is, if you want to, but if you, and this is to everyone that's watching that throws events, and that's scale where you can afford to do a live stream and afford to have a staff, then you should think about the longevity of your actual event,
Mhm.
and how you're
Exactly.
going to benefit, how putting these things into consideration will not just help your event, it will help the scene. Because now you're going to, like, you're not the only one said that the Silverback was their favorite, video, watching a live stream and watching commentary. I was like, when me and Ark first did it, we were like, get ready for the hate. It's coming. It's coming. Because when you watch the Red Bull ones, like, oh my God, and this is no diss to Cross, but Cross again, like, like, or whatever, whatnot, right? And we were waiting for the hate, and we actually got, like, not opposite. People were like congratulating us. I was like, whoa, this is weird. Like, this is weird.
But yours
I'm
is
just waiting for
different,
someone
man.
like, these guys suck or whatever, whatnot.
Nah, yours is
We got
different.
nothing.
Yeah,
And
you
that's
see?
crazy. you know, because you know we're very critical. We're a very critical scene, right? We're a very critical subculture, and it's just it was cool. It was cool to kind of not get that hate. And this is like you said, this 2018. That's 5 years ago already, and now still people are still talking about that, which is crazy. And there's have been at least what, yeah, 5 Red Bulls, and I'm just sitting there watching. It's like, and they're my friends commentating. I'm like, all right, that's cool. That's
Yeah,
cool. I'll be
Red Bull,
honest, you know.
WDSF, Unbreakables. Like, there's been so many events commentated now, so many. Why are we still talking about this one 5 years ago? Technically, we should
Yeah,
just be like, that was. No one's talking about how UFC was commentated 5 years ago. No one's talking about how basketball was commentated 5 years. If we're still
yeah,
talking about it, we're like, maybe that was the way to. Do you know what I mean?
yeah.
And it's
Which is
like,
dope, man. For me, that's dope to hear that, you know,
you
because
know
like I
what I would
said, you
do?
know, like
Send
again,
that. Wait, I've got a suggestion because I'll do it as well. Send that to the WDSF.
oh
Like
word,
someone needs
okay,
to take that live stream. Maybe we could send it to Bojin and be like, Bojin, send this to the WDSF or whoever's in charge of commentating and be like, this is how you should do it. Because number one, we forget the certain people might not have seen it. They might
right,
not. But I think that needs to get sent around. That formula. And Daniel, if he's got it written down or if you guys got anything, it needs to be like, guys, this is how we did that. We can do this for you. Because the one thing I say, we are assuming that everyone saw it. Maybe they didn't. Maybe they don't know what we're talking about. If you don't know, 2018 Silverback, go watch it because I know, yeah, maybe they didn't. You know,
maybe I'll send this video to Daniel for him to like.
I'll message Daniel myself. By the way, if you don't know what we're talking about, it's Daniel Zhu from Stance because we're saying
Yeah,
Daniel because we know him, but you might not know Daniel Zhu from Stance.
yeah.
He's the guy and all of that. But it's like,
Yeah, he had a vision. Like I said, he looked at e-gaming, and you know me being like, you know, quote unquote boomer, like e-gaming, what the like. But then you know I was like, oh okay, I get it. And you know, like I said, we didn't get any hate. It was dope. We didn't get any hate, so that was very special, you know. And thanks for like, I didn't know that you were going to do the research and watch it again. Like I just
yeah, because but here's the thing again, because technically I would love to commentate, but I wouldn't want to commentate with the way it is because it's over the. I say this to everyone. I'm like, look, if they ask me, I'd do it, but I would say to them, I don't want to talk over the music. I don't,
right,
because technically, already what I do for Red Bull, all the articles and stuff I write. Like I say, I do the stuff that goes in the commentator's handbook. Me and another writer, Tracy, writes. Like we do all the info. And so, and I already know the questions, and I interview breakers all the time. So when breakers don't know what to say, it's like I've seen breakers who didn't know what to say to breakers who are now used to it because I've been interviewing them for the past 5 years. Do you know what I mean?
yeah,
So I know all of this, and in my head I was like, oh shit, you know what? I know enough to commentate. I love it enough to commentate. That's why I engage with you on these things, you know. So it's like that's there, but going back to your point, because connecting it to your point about organizers having so much to think about
yeah,
again, no, not trying to say, yo, do it. But in the end, it's like, yeah, but to be honest, all you need to do is bring in one person to think about that. You don't need to do it. And
yeah,
I've been there where it's the funny thing is all the stuff I do for Red Bull. I'm like, no events do this. They don't. And people that go, Red Bull's got the money. And I'll say they don't have the money. No, they do have the money, but it's not the money because we're the ones, me and the other writer, we're the ones that they say, pitch us what we should do. They don't come to us and tell us what they say, pitch it. And if they don't like it,
right,
they don't take it. If they like it, they
yeah,
take it. So the only reason we do all of this is because we pitched it all and they liked it and we done it and
yeah,
it worked. And then they said, cool. So with all the organizers, it's like, guys, we have people on the scene. Yourself already done the commentating work. Daniel worked. Do you know what I mean? You had your team. That was a good team, but you can change that. We have me doing media. But the downside of the scene is, like you say, we're like this. And then we go, why is no one watching? Because you're not doing this. And the way
yeah,
that anything gets popular with the public, anything, and this happened with the WNBA, people need to look up. It happened with the NBA when no one was watching it. You have to use media. If you are not thinking about media, if you don't have, and media isn't bringing in your photographer and your videographer and putting out a trailer. That's not media. That's YouTube and IG. No one outside the scene, no offense, is watching your trailer. How many trailers exist? The Flash trailer came out last week. You've got Nike commercials that you're competing with. Just watch the And One documentary, and you'll see how Nike blew them out the water with one commercial. You have to be thinking about your media. Who is talking about your event? How are they talking about it? And what media, as in what information are you putting out that make people go, I want to watch this?
Yeah.
And that thing is the down.
That's another thing I think culturally is hard, hip hop culturally wise, until the recent times. And I'm saying TikTok times. It's very much about, we chase one pie. You know what I mean? We chase one lane. We all chase the same lane, which is freestyle session, Red Bull, BC1, whatever that is, and expecting once we win that, we've made it. Instead of, we have to hustle before it and hustle after it. And I think that's, we're very much like, we don't want to brag about ourselves. We want this outside validation before I could do this. And even I suffer from this a little bit. But I think like doing this IG Live is important because now we're bringing up the subject because no one else was bringing it up. I'm glad you did because I think the same thing. It's like, why don't they just hire me? They know my resume. It's like, oh yeah, I answer my own questions while talking. Oh yeah, they're too busy. Blah blah blah. One conversation is not gonna do it. I'm like, I was like, why am I complaining? Because you're putting yourself out there, which is the main thing. But the thing that I was apprehensive of before was that I didn't want to do that because I didn't want to that's that b-boy mentality. Like I'm not trying to talk without having the ammo. I don't like to just brag and then not deliver. It's like, wait a second, you just basically gave me a 3-hour resume that I did. And I didn't realize it was a 3-hour resume. Like, you know what I mean? Like a 4-hour stream was like, oh yeah, that's right, I did it. And you can see, I sometimes I forget that stream is still available. You know what I mean? Because I did it and I thought it's just gone, versus like, oh, it's still there.
Highlight reel from that stream. Download it.
Yeah. I should do that actually. And it's because
bro, you never know.
Yeah, I know. I'm just so in, because my philosophy is very. There's things that I've won that no one knows I've won 30 years ago because I don't talk about it because I'm in the now. I'm like, and that's my philosophy, which is like I'm only as good as the last thing I did. So the last thing I posted in IG is as good as I was, like versus like I won that Massive Monkey Footwork Battle 2012. Like I forgot about it, and most of the viewers that I have now don't even realize it.
Yeah.
So thank you for like bringing that up. I was like, oh yeah, that's right. But why I'm bringing this up is because like you're actually talking about something that no one has even thought about. And now I saw some promoters that have watched this, and maybe they'll think about. I saw some promoters come up now that maybe they might think about it now, because when I'm saying you're doing your event a service, but you're actually doing the scene a service, right? Because once let's say freestyle session does it, maybe Cross is watching. It's like, oh shoot, I didn't thought about that, or maybe Daniel reunite Daniel's like, oh yeah, that was such a good idea. Yeah, that once that becomes a standard, everyone else is gonna follow suit. You know what I mean? Everyone else is going to follow suit,
right? Because standard. look at judging. Look at when they first brought out the system. Remember when they had the flags? It was colored flags.
Yeah. I remember that.
To the Electron, and how many people said this is never gonna take off? No one wants to look at a screen in between to see where you won. Now all the events use it. Do you know what I mean? The one, and shout out to Dominic, and 8 because he put in the work and he got the system out there. But it is that thing. It's kind of that thing where like, and even I have to do it. I do myself because this is something I've been thinking about. I have to be more proactive and message the organizers and say, look, guys, this is what I can do for you. So I have to do it because it is that thing where it is a trend to follow. And the only reason the system gets used is because all the big events use it. That's the only reason. If it was some small events, people would be like, they're just some little cypher event in the middle of nowhere. Because all the big events use it, people look at it and go, okay, this is where it's going. It's the only reason why all the big events started doing commentating, because they were like, oh, this is where it's going. So it's like, it's taking the thing that we've done, packaging it and going, guys, we already know this is where it's going. I can do it for you. Let me come and
Right.
do it for you, you know?
Yeah.
And people are, at least on the scene, one thing we know is we know people well enough that either they'll say yes, no, or they'll have a conversation.
Right.
This, we're not talking to a faceless corporation where you're just messaging randomly and they're just like, oh, you know, even Red Bull, you know enough people that you could say, yo, can you talk to this? Do you know in Red Bull who I can talk to
Right.
that if I
Yeah.
wanted to commentate for them,
Yeah.
could I get it through? And people will go yes
I
or
just
no.
said, told Ronnie, hey Ronnie, I really want to do it. That's all, that's the most
No,
I
tell them
said.
one, bro. Then
That's why
bring
I said, hey
Daniel,
Ronnie, I
man.
really want to do it, man.
You
But
know?
no, you bring up a lot of good stuff. And I'm glad, like, ladies and gentlemen, you just saw my mind work right now and be like, oh yeah, these are the opportunities I should use. Like, that's authentic.
Yeah, bro.
See,
This is
authentic, live stream right there.
yeah.
But
And
yeah,
this is
no,
what
no. But
this
I'm
is
glad you brought this up because yeah, I don't think honestly, I don't think people think about it. They just think about, oh, I don't like that commentator. That's all
mm,
I hear. Like, oh, that commentator was trash, but we never think about, oh, well, how can we do it better? And
yeah.
that's why I'm glad you brought this up because now all they says like that commentator's trash. You should get Profo or Art. I go, okay, great. I didn't hear any. No one's knocking on my door for WDSF. And my whole thing is like, but at the same time, I just continue to create content where I put out information to be like I know what I'm talking about, and it's fun for me anyway
Yeah.
because you know how this scene works. You have like 3-year people, and then right after that you have lifers, and
Hmm.
even with those 3-year people that become lifers, they start from that moment. So what?
Yeah.
And I told this to my boy Jay Soul. I was like, kids think Kid David's old school. It's like, no way. I go, bro, look at these guys are 13. Of course they're gonna think Kid David's already 30. He's
Yeah,
not a
bro.
kid no more.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Keebs
David, you
is
know.
old school. Like, what? No way. I'm like, yeah. We're not competing with the same people.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Your average now is 21. These are the guys killing it. You're talking to like Hijack is like getting to like regular, Victor's already old school for a lot of
Yeah.
kids. I looked up to Victor when I was 10. Now I'm 12, 13. You know what I'm saying? This
Yeah.
is just the reality. This is how quick the scene, because the scene moved slower back then. I
Yeah.
could look up to Ken Swift for 20 years because there was no one else coming out. Now it's like every second, there's a jam every weekend. So your longevity of like, dude, even like Lee had one hell of a run, but now it's like already resetting. It's already 2023. So now it's like, oh shit, I didn't even realize like one of the kids from Vegas had to bring up, it's like, Lilu, that kid Lilu is Lee. I was like, wait, what? That's the
Yeah.
same
Yeah.
guy?
You
I
didn't
go,
know?
oh shoot. My mind went,
Really? Yeah. That's you just
yeah.
because there was already a Lilu, so you just changed.
There's so many, but because there's so many things, and in my
Yeah.
region, maybe I'm paying attention to this, so I have this
Yeah. Yeah. I
echo
get it.
chamber going on.
And it's
So
like,
this is
but
the
you see
this
what
is
you just
the
done
difference
there.
between back then. That's why, and this is outside of what we're talking, the subject we're talking about. The thing that mentors give that are my age, the thing that
Hmm.
worked for us back in '98, don't work now.
Hmm.
It's just the truth. You have to catch up, which with technology and it's just funny that we're bringing up like something that happened 5 years ago, yet it still hasn't been implemented enough,
You
which is
know?
crazy. But if it stands out, like I said, yeah, if they're still like referring to me, like I'll get tagged into like you should have been commentating this. I'm like, okay, sure, but
No, no. It's
maybe
like,
I'm not in their visibility.
I
That's
mean,
fine.
some of it, to be honest, there's two things you just did there, but some of it, we'll be honest, is there's a people are in their groups. So like
Yeah,
I know why Clayu and Ad Miracles, Ad Miracles and so many, I know why they're commentating on Breakable and Outbreak because
yeah,
they're part of that whole group with MG and all of that. Now they're with
yeah,
Max, you know what I mean? So they have their group. So I get it. You're gonna pick someone who's in your group because that person you trust them and you can talk to them and they talk regular. So there is a point where
yeah,
it's like I get why you're picking them, and I get you're not just gonna be like, oh, we'll pick Profo one time and yeah, Clay, you can't do it no more. Do you know what I mean? It
yeah,
does
yeah.
make sense, and it's the same with like even Red Bull. We get why they pick certain people to
Oh
commentate
yeah,
because and they bring them back because they work with them. But the truth of the matter is, it's now we're looking at the people have to remember we're now professional sport. We weren't before. We are going to the Olympics. It
right.
is now about, in reality, if you want something to grow where it can get to. And breaking is it. All these people, I'm going to say it now. I keep saying it to people. People need to stop acting like we're going to go to the Olympics and suddenly we're competing with the NBA. We're not competing with the NBA. We're not on that level yet. That takes so long, because outside of the Olympics, we're still not there. The NBA isn't even in the Olympics. That's separate. NFL, these things are up here. So if we want to even get onto that step, we have to start treating it like a professional sport. And what does a professional sport do? They hire the people that want to do the job, not the people that are in your circle. That's different. And I'm not saying don't hire the people in your circle, but then those people, like, you should be like, let's get you some commentator training. Let's try and work this. They don't even need to hire Profo, sorry, Profo. But bring in Profo and see what he did, and we'll just pay him as a consultant. And he'll come in and tell us what they did, and then you guys go do it, because we want you to. Cool. Bring in Daniel. We'll hire him as a consultant, because this is what professional sports like federations, leagues, this is what they do, which is why you don't just have every UFC fight. How many UFC champions actually are commentators for UFC? 3 of them, as far as I know. But you're not going to but they're not all suddenly, oh, you're a champion, you can commentate. Do you know what I mean? How many, amazing football players are commentators? How many championship boxers? Oh, Mike Tyson, you should commentate. Why? Because we need to stop this. We do. And we need to say, if people want to do it, bring in the people that know how, and either put them next to them or get them to show them how. And if they don't want that,
I'm 100% with you, man. 100% with you.
So it's like, I think best for you though, Cost One is probably your go-to, right? Because States, he's the guy,
But I'm too busy competing.
Trying to beat the nails.
That's the only reason, honestly, Cross. That's the only reason why I don't offer anything, because, like, I want to still compete in the 40 and up and all that type of stuff.
You can still commentate and compete. You just need to. I mean, bro,
I can't. I gotta be the whole day, like, do my thing and focus in. And
you're gonna have to make a choice.
I'm not a multitask guy. You know what I mean?
All right. What about because America's doing it big. I'm actually gonna watch the Zoom tonight. They're probably doing the biggest thing for the Olympics. They got so many events. They're doing talks. They're doing this. They're
breaking
doing that.
for gold. Yeah. Like, I've talked to a few of them. I talked to Zach, but I think they're relying on B-Boy Network to do live stream, and they just live stream. But I don't know. It's something that could be offered. Obviously, not all the money is in there for it. I think they're just concentrating on production. Because again, I understand what they go through. So. But like what you said, to present a solution from my resume, which basically is, it's something to think about and to put out there.
ESPN as well. I remember Cross has been commentating ESPN.
Oh, he's gonna take that job.
No, but bring you with him. Just be like, yo, it's
I can talk to him.
I
just don't like to ask for things sometimes. It's just
But, I get it. I'm the same, bro. I get it. You know what it is.
But you bring up a lot of points where like, oh shoot, actually, you bring up a lot of points like, I do have a resume. I've worked under, like, again, it's a matter of, and shout out to Wacko, because I think Wacko was the reason why the Rocking came back to freestyle session. He actually
he told me he wanted to do that.
And Cross is a reasonable guy. He's like, oh yeah, okay, I'll let it happen. What do you need? So you brought up many good points. I'm too busy working out and like thinking about that type of stuff. And what's my next episode on YouTube gonna be? I'm more on like the now versus like how do I get there? Then I go, how do I get there? It's like, then you brought up 3 big ways to get there. So okay,
that's what I do, bro. That's what I do. But I'm like, think about it, sleep on it. You never know. And hopefully, to be honest, my main thing is that just like people start. I mean, this is why we're having these conversations. I think there's at least you, myself, I know No Index, as there's people that want to at least, and you don't put it this way, you can do it through YouTube, because YouTube's a platform anyway. It's going to reach more people on a regular basis, but it's just presenting breaking in a way where the public can understand it, connect to it, and want to watch it, and I just don't think the Olympics is going to do it. with commentating. It's not, because it's terrible right now. It really is. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
The
I mean,
event,
yeah, we're still like, even though that was 5 years ago, we're still a very infant stage of it for sure. Like, we're
very.
still like very beginning, because it's like, the thing is, I think a lot of people forgot about what happened 5 years ago, and a lot of people that are in charge of the production, right now, a lot of the productions, they're just, like, I can't go to MG and MK. They probably watched it. They were there for sure, but it's like English as a second language. They're not really
Yeah,
thinking
and they
in
got
those
their
ways.
yeah,
You
yeah.
know what I mean? So now, again, like you said, because we're in about a year and a half away, right? We're a year and a half
Probably,
away to
yeah.
Paris.
Right.
We're a year and a half away.
Like,
But
and
mountains have been moved in less time. So, like what you're
it's
presenting
easily
again,
done.
you're putting this you're putting this on YouTube, which is dope, because I could share it in my YouTube, and not just
Yeah.
that, I can send this episode out. And
And we
I'm
know
glad
it's
you're doing that. Here's the one thing, guys. Okay,
yeah.
I know IG and TikTok is very important, but if we want to keep records, no one's going to IG or TikTok to look at old stuff in long form. They go to YouTube or Spotify.
True. Yeah,
So
that's where you search for stuff, and you can search YouTube. You can't search IG or TikTok like YouTube.
yeah, because it's
Good point.
Google, right? Because
Good
Google
point.
owns YouTube.
Yeah.
So
Oh, good point.
that's why it's very valuable that I'm glad you're putting this on YouTube, because that's super important, because they gotta just
Yeah.
look up commentary or look at the subject or look up breakdance or whatever they want to do, and then this will come up. And
Hmm.
and this is being savvy online, right? Like, that's the whole
Yeah.
thing, right? So yeah,
All
man,
good,
good
bro.
combo, man, good combo.
All good, man. Yeah. All right. So yeah, thanks for anyone who tuned in. I think we done like just about an hour and a half there, bro. And yeah, I'll put it up.
Yeah,
I'm gonna put up highlight clips. There's already one up with me and no index. I'm gonna
gotta
try to
watch
do
that, and that's
more
on your YouTube, right?
on my YouTube. Yeah. So
All right,
go
you
on my
guys.
if you go on my profile on IG and you click the link in the bio, you can check it out there. And this one will go up there by next weekend or this week. I'll get it up.
Yes.
And yeah,
Yeah,
man.
same thing for me. If you want to go to my YouTube channel, because I'm trying to transfer, basically, I just hit 10K on the IG,
Cool.
so I'm happy about that. Took a long time, but again, I didn't doing no dang challenges or trendy music. But you can go to my bio and go straight to my YouTube channel and subscribe there, and that'd be very helpful to, like, if
Okay.
you want
I'll
to
link it all
get
in the
content, it's
YouTube
long form
description.
content.
Yeah. I'll link it all.
Actually,
I'll put
I
your
need
link
you on the
in there.
show, man, because you talk about writing, and so I'm gonna have you on the show, and we'll trade. Since I did your show, you're gonna go on my YouTube. We're
Let's
gonna
do it,
schedule it.
man. Let's do it.
Yes,
Let's
sir.
do it. All right. Cool,
All
cool,
right, man.
brother. Thanks for
Peace
tuning in.
out. Thank you
Enjoy
so
your
much.
day. All right, bro.
You too.
Peace out, people.
All right.
Later.
Peace.